Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. As it is the first day back, I feel it's only fair we have a go at everybody. And since we've done the leadership, and we've done the finances, and we've done down in Westminster with Mary Black and that, I think it's only fair we have a go at the Greens, and in particular, of course, the wee imp. He has been caught with his trousers down, not literally, but figuratively. He's made an announcement that there was many thousands of people who've taken advantage of his upgrades to the heat pump scheme. And it turns out that it isn't thousands. It isn't even 1,000. It's just 900 in a year. There's millions of houses. He says they're all going to be done by 2033. I think he's very optimistic. And I think he's also going to be proved horrendously wrong. The only good thing is, of course, he'll be out of office before too long. Certainly within the next few months, I think, if Kate Forbes can ever pull her finger out and get a run at the leadership. First job on the day that she takes over is get rid of the Greens. The imp and Jeffrey can sod off back to the back benches and cry me a river. But we'll have a look at this to see how bad this scheme is, to be how awful it is, and how much lies they're trying to spin to try and make it look like it's not a complete and utter failure. Here goes. So there we go. It's always nice to see Harvie embarrassed. Always nice to have him shown up for the fool that he is. So Patrick Harvie is left embarrassed as only 900 householders receive funding to make a costly heat pump upgrades, claim the Scottish Tories. Well, at £30,000 a go, there's not many people going to be able to afford it. And even with the tiny little allowance that the Scottish Government are giving you, 7,500, it's not really anywhere near enough. So I don't know how they think this is going to work. But there he is. Look at it. Face of a man who hasn't got a clue what's going on. Not one clue. But he's filled with spite, bile and hate for anyone who isn't Patrick Harvie. Anyway, Patrick Harvie has been left red-faced after it was revealed that his flagship energy upgrade scheme has only handed out cash to 900 households. You can guarantee those 900 households will be the better off, who were probably considering doing it anyway. And so you have this marvellous scheme that really only helps the rich. The Scottish Greens Minister introduced a 10-year time bomb for families across Scotland earlier this year, which won't happen, of course. The moment they're out of power, that will be very quietly abandoned because nobody thinks it's even possible. Certainly not even Harvie, to be honest. He outlined plans to ban fossil fuel heating systems like boilers. And nobody knows why, because what he's introducing will probably fail to be legal. It certainly won't pass muster in terms of killing bacteria. And so people will die of things like listeria or Legionnaire's disease, waterborne things, unkilled by the low temperatures that haven't, been maintained. Anyway, by 2033, every property in Scotland is expected to have environmentally friendly heating, including heat pumps. But the cost of upgrading to this can hit more than 10,000. Try 30. That's what I was quoted. 32,000 something. So I didn't. I just put me solar on the roof. If landlords or homeowners don't do this, they will face punishments through mortgage and home insurance payments. Well, there you go. How to destroy the entire Scottish housing industry. Nobody can sell. People will be sitting there in their houses, ill-fitted for purpose, either too big or too small, won't be able to do it, can't afford to do it. But hey, Harvie's bright idea. The Scottish Government claims to be helping struggling Scots install new heating systems, but that, of course, is a lie. They say there's the use of grants and loans, but these have not been used properly. Well, they can't. You can't possibly give someone £7,500 to install a £35,000 heating system and expect them to do it. It's a joke. New figures discovered by the Scottish Tories found that only 900 applicants received support under the Home Energy Scotland grant and loan programme. 900. There are millions of houses. 900 have been helped in a year. This is supposed to be done in 10 years' time. In fact, now, in 9 years' time. How do How do you think this is going to work out for you, Patrick? Do you think you're going to hit your target? Or do you think you're going to do what you've done with every other policy and fail miserably, expensively, and creating misery and poverty at every turn? The SNP administration disputed this claim. They said the true figure was actually much higher, at around 6,000 in 22-23, and not the 900 cited by Scottish Tories. HES was preceded by the Grant and Cashback Initiative, but fewer than 100 people a month applied for it in the year to August 2023, except for 2 months where it was higher, and that is why you've got the 900 in the year. Mr Harvie also refused to publish the monthly figures for the 2 other schemes, which were administered by councils and Warmer Homes Scotland. Why does he not want to publish those figures? Surely if it's a raging success like he claims, he'd be rushing to get those numbers out. We can deduce, therefore, it is not a raging success. It is, in fact, an abject failure. And nobody is surprised by that. Are you surprised? I'm certainly not. Gosh, Harvie failing. Hardly breaking news, is it? Anyway, Scottish Tory MSP Donald Cameron branded these statistics embarrassingly paltry and said that the support so far was a dismal failure. He highlighted that households face huge bills to remove oil and gas boilers, but only a tiny fraction have received help to do so. And once they've gone for good, and their hugely expensive replacements aren't as good. They don't heat the house as much, they don't heat the water as much. They require often, apart from running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and but you're paying far more in electricity than you ever were in gas. So they're very, very hugely expensive to run. And of course, the maintenance on them is much higher as well. These things don't last as long as gas boilers. It's a joke. It's a way of saying, hey, we want to bankrupt Scotland and destroy the entire economy. Ultimately, of course, that is the goal of the Greens. Anyway, new minimum energy efficiency standards are being introduced in Scotland by 2033, which means that homes may be unable to be sold if they've not been upgraded. The cost for this will likely skyrocket for older, detached rural homes and those off the gas grid. Because of course they will, because they don't care about people. Mr Cameron said they are embarrassingly paltry figures for a flagship SNP Green scheme. A huge number of households, particularly in rural areas, will be hit by Patrick Harvie's new energy efficiency guidelines. Yet precious few are getting government support for heat pumps and other measures. Some houses will never meet these targets. They just physically can't. They're so old, they're so badly designed. Not the fault of the people living there, is it? If you've got a 400-year-old house, what do you expect? It cannot ever meet the targets. So you're saying that people will have to live in there and they're not allowed to sell them, and they can't insure them. In the middle of a cost of living crisis, Patrick Harvie wants to pile huge bills onto homeowners. The SNP Green government, he said, has so far provided financial support to only a tiny fraction of homes. This represents a dismal failure by ministers. That dismal failure and the SNP Greens goes together, doesn't it? It's got a certain sort of resonance. Mention one, you automatically think of the other. He says, and as usual with this nationalist coalition, it is people living in rural Scotland who suffer disproportionately from this ill-considered and I would say damn stupid policy. The Home Energy Scotland grants and loans are supposed to help households retrofit their homes for net zero, with households able to get a grant of up to £7,500, along with optional interest-free loan of up to £7,500. So between the pair of them, £15,000, which is sometimes less than half of what is needed. Rural households can claim an increased grant of up to £9,000. Still only about half of what is needed. But 1 in 5 Scottish homes are not connected to the gas grid, meaning these costs will be more due to the complexity of their heating systems. Around 369,000 occupied dwellings, 15%, in Scotland are beyond the reach of the gas network, a vast majority of which, 259,000 homes, are in rural areas. So call it 370,000 is 15%. So times that by 8, you're getting close to 3 million, aren't you? 3 million houses in Scotland. And in a year, they've dealt with 900. There are children as yet unborn that will die of old age And this scheme will not have finished by doing 900 a year. Harvie fails again. Wonderful, isn't it? This is what happens when you give hate-filled, obnoxious little turds power. Even his mother couldn't love him. He looks like something deformed, doesn't he? He looks like something out of Super Mario. That's what it is. That's what he reminds me of. A little turtle, isn't it? He's a little turtle head. Which is another thing, you know, when you're turtle heading is when you're busting for a shit, really, isn't it? But he's turtle heading at the top end. Anyway, I shall finish there. Come up. How can he claim this is anything other than an unmitigated, embarrassing and complete disastrous fail? It's a fail on every possible metric, but it's highly indicative of him because he fails on every possible metric. He's failed really as a politician. He's failed as a leader. He's failed as anyone who understands even the science behind what he's saying. He cannot communicate anything. He's filled with his own self-importance. He doesn't realise how stupid he is. He doesn't realise how damaging what he is trying to do is. And he tries to be virtuous and say, look at it, it's brilliant, it's saving the world. The net difference is you can destroy the entire Scottish economy, and the difference it makes is so negligibly small, it could not even be measured. That's how small the difference is. And yet the misery and poverty that will be spread by it outweighs everything. It will cause death through poverty. But he doesn't care, because he's got to make his mark on the world. Well, the only mark he's going to make will be skid marks. And that's all really he is, isn't he? He's a little skid mark of a politician trying to desperately have some kind of relevance. And he hasn't. I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do carry on. Do hit the subscribe button. Definitely need the help there. We're about 100 away from 9,000, and that'd be a fantastic little total. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I shall speak to you later. Bye.